Hi, we are Gorham Youth Voices. We are a group of high school students who come together to try to reduce underage drinking in our community by raising awareness through effective communication.
We've created the following program to share information with you that we hope will help you understand some of the issues around underage drinking.
Most adults have misconceptions about drinking and the effects of alcohol. We want to share some of these myths with you and then give you the facts.
In every case, the facts we refer to are based on reliable research. Here are some of the most popular myths.
If we crack down on underage drinking, it will only make kids want to drink more.
That's a myth.
The fact is that most young people respond best to clear rules set by their parents and society at large. What that means is that if your kids believe that you think it would be very wrong for them to drink alcohol, they will be significantly less likely to drink.
At least alcohol is safer than other drugs.
That's a myth.
The fact is that alcohol kills 6.5 times more youth than all other illegal drugs combined.
If we just educate kids about the dangers of drinking, they won't drink.
That's a myth.
The fact is that scare tactics don't usually work because we all have a natural tendency to think that won't happen to me. Just using scare tactics can actually do more harm than good because they can unintentionally glamorize the risky behavior.
Kids are just going to drink anyway. It's a rite of passage.
That's a myth.
The fact is that in Maine, the majority of teens have not consumed alcohol in the last 30 days. The misperception that everybody's drinking can actually make young people more likely to drink alcohol.
My children and I have a good relationship. They aren't drinking. I would know.
That's a myth.
The fact is that most Maine parents vastly underestimate the likelihood that their own child is drinking, and they overestimate how likely it is that they would find out that their child had been drinking.
It's better for kids to start drinking young so they can learn how to handle it.
That's a myth.
The fact is that the part of the adolescent brain that deals with decision-making is still developing. Drinking before age 21 places kids at higher risk for academic failure, depression, suicide, and sexual assault. And young people who begin drinking before 17 are twice as likely to develop alcohol dependence than those who begin at age 21.
If we change the minimum drinking age back to 18 instead of 21, it would reduce problems with underage drinking.
That's a myth.
The fact is that since the minimum drinking age was changed back to 21 in the 1980s, deaths from drinking and driving accidents are estimated to have decreased by 20,000.
In Europe, youth drink more responsibly than in the U.S.
That's a myth.
The fact is that in 35 European countries, kids there actually drink more frequently and heavily and get drunk more often than their American counterparts.
It's okay for young people to drink, as long as they don't drive.
That's a myth.
The fact is that only 1/3 of underage drinking deaths involves auto crashes. The remaining 2/3 involves alcohol poisoning, homicides, suicides, and unintentional injuries, such as burns, drownings, and falls.
My kids have been educated about drinking, so we don't need to talk about it.
That could be the most dangerous myth of all.
The fact is that both youth and adults have serious misconceptions about alcohol.
One of the most important things you can do as a parent is get the facts about alcohol use and discuss them with your son or daughter.
Very few parents would encourage underage drinking, but there are some actions and behaviors that may do just that.
Here are some good ways to provide your teens with the role modeling they need to help keep them from underage use.
Don't make lighthearted or joking comments about other people's heavy drinking.
Don't tell funny or glorified stories about you or your friends' drinking antics when you were younger.
Don't ask your child to get you an alcoholic drink from the fridge.
Don't wear t-shirts, baseball caps, etc. that advertise or promote drinking and/or specific brands of alcohol.
Don't laugh at scenes where alcohol is being abused when you are watching TV with your child.
Don't express the opinion that drinking is an unavoidable rite of passage for teens.
Don't host adult social gatherings at your home where alcoholic beverages are the only drink served and/or where drinking is the central focus of the gathering.
Don't model using alcohol as a stress reduction tool.
Don't ever host parties at your house where alcohol is served or available to teens.
Don't offer alcohol to your teen as a special treat for celebrations or family gatherings.
Don't let your child observe you drinking more than 2 or 3 drinks on any one occasion.
Alcohol is a powerful drug, slowing down the body and mind, impairing coordination, and slowing reaction times. It affects teenagers differently than it affects adults. It can significantly impair adolescent brain development and permanently alter brain chemistry. By delaying drinking until age 21, the odds that a teen will develop a serious alcohol-related problem drop from 40% among people who began drinking by age 15 to about 10% among people who began drinking after turning 21.
Many parents believe that drunk driving fatalities represent the greatest danger to teens, but only 1/3 of underage drinking deaths involves auto crashes. The majority of teenage injuries and fatalities are due to alcohol poisoning, alcohol-related homicides and suicides, burns, falls, drowning, and other tragic situations involving underage drinking.
Harm to many organs in your teen's body. Alcohol impairs normal brain chemical function in adolescents significantly more than in adults.
An increased chance of developing some kinds of cancer, high blood pressure, liver disease, and other long-term health issues.
Sexual assault. Impaired judgment, teenage depression, and suicide.
Sexually transmitted diseases.
Academic failure.
Engaging in or being victimized by criminal behavior. If you want to help your teen avoid alcohol use, you must be able to have open, trusting communication with her or him. One of the best ways to help guide teens to healthy decision-making is to learn how to talk with them. Remember, if you show respect for your teen's viewpoint, he or she will be more likely to listen to and respect yours. Here are some tips.
Encourage conversation.
Listen without interruption. Encourage your child to talk about his or her interests.
Give your child a chance to teach you something new.
Avoid questions that have a simple yes or no answer.
Ask open-ended questions.
Encourage your teen to tell you how he or she thinks and feels about the issue you're discussing.
Don't lecture or try to score points by showing how he or she is wrong.
Control your emotions.
If you hear something you don't like, try not to respond with anger. Instead, take a few deep breaths and acknowledge your feelings in a constructive way.
Your active listening paves the way for conversations about topics that concern you. As a parent, you already understand that your relationship with your teen can make a difference. The guidance you give strengthens the bond you have with your child and helps counter media images that glorify alcohol. It also gives your teenager the tools he or she will need to resist peer pressure to drink. Still, finding the right words and when to say them can be tough. Here are some recommended examples of how to talk with your teenager and what to say.
If you're at a party where kids are drinking, I want you to call me and I'll come pick you up.
I love you and I want the best for you, so I don't want you to use alcohol.
I really want you to be healthy and safe. That's why I don't want you to use alcohol.
It's never okay for you to ride in a car with someone who has been drinking. I will not be mad at you if you find yourself in an unsafe situation and you call on me for help.
I care enough about you to ask you who you are going with and what you are going to do. I'm your parent and it's important to me that you be safe.
I want you to avoid being in places where kids are drinking.
It is important that rules are clear and that if they are broken, there are some reasonable consequences that get enforced. What those consequences are is negotiable and should depend on the severity of the act and whether or not the child lied. Punishments that are too severe can be ineffective. Punishment for most rule violations, particularly first offenses, should not exceed a couple of weeks because your child may lose sight of why he or she is being punished. As an alternative suggestion, consider having your child read and discuss articles on the effects of alcohol, take on extra household chores, or perform community service. We have shared the information in this presentation with you to help you and your teen understand the real dangers associated with underage drinking. Alcohol use is largely glorified by much of the media and youth culture, and the adult beverage industry derives from 10 to 20% of its income, or as much as $22.5 billion a year, from youth consumption. One of the most important things you will ever do to protect kids is help them delay their use of alcohol for as long as possible. By doing so, you will greatly improve their chances of leading healthier, happier lives both now and in the future.
For more information about how to prevent underage drinking, visit www.maineparents.net. Thank you for watching this program.